leader, come on up here, please. Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins, the leader of the New York State Senate, and someone who I would point out every year with me that they have filed a rate application increase. ConEd has been with me in opposing every rate increase. So thank you for that. So I am State Senator Shelley Mayer. I represent the 37th Senate District in Westchester, but I am here with my colleagues in government as well, and many of them, and I will acknowledge them, as well as regular ratepayers who are frankly fed up with the rates they are currently being required to pay by the rates approved by the Public Service Commission for our ConEd usage. The rates are simply unaffordable, and every day I get hundreds of emails saying, I cannot afford to live here, I cannot afford to pay this bill, and it's the delivery charge, the part that is regulated by ConEd, that is killing me. So we are here to draw attention, to put pressure, and to change the way this thing works. The Public Service Commission works for us, the people, not for the utilities. They work for us, and the rates that they approve should be rates that are affordable for regular service that we need. And I have several things that are in the works to try to change the way the rate structure works, including that we should not pay for their exorbitant salaries for their CEOs. That's not our problem. Let them pay for them.
Yeah.
So first I want to thank all of my constituents and people throughout Westchester who have found the time to email, call all of us about their outrage about these bills. We are here today to hold the Public Service Commission and ConEd accountable to deny the next rate increase application by ConEd, which is before them now, and to recognize that they serve us, not the other way around. This week, Governor Hochul made clear she heard our voices. She called for the Public Service Commission to reject the rate increase application, but that's not good enough. We don't want a negotiated rate increase that's halfway between what they want and what we want. We want a different way to set the rates. And I have legislation that has passed the New York State Senate with the support of my leader and Senator Jackson here that says there will be a presumptive rate of return, and they have to meet that rate. It's not up to them to decide how much to pay their shareholders. It's up to the state to decide what is a fair rate of return. We need that to be the number one way the rate is set. And two, we need to have a limit on what they can recover for salaries and other expenses. Why should we pay for their lobbying? Why should we pay for their lawyers for challenging the rate case? That's not for us to do. That's for them to do. So today we are here to draw attention, to put pressure, and to say no more rate increase, and you work for us, Public Service Commission, not the other way around. So just to know, ConEd provides electric service to approximately 3.4 million customers and gas to 1.1 million customers in New York City and Westchester. We are talking about a whole lot of people who are fed up and angry. We have expressed our outrage before, and we haven't gotten very far. There are people up here who have been fighting this fight for a long time, and the leader and I have been fighting. We haven't been winning. Why aren't we winning? Because we need to show enough outrage to turn the tide around. The governor heard us, but hearing us is not enough. The Public Service Commission cannot approve the next rate increase, which is for the next 3 years, which would be another increase on what you're already paying. So with that, I want to stop for a minute and introduce a lot of people up here and then a lot of people in the audience. And don't lose patience with that, because it's important that your public officials are here from towns and villages and cities and the county. They are here to say they hear you too, and they will lend their voice to pushing back and to making sure that our voices are heard. So I want to acknowledge them, and certainly some will speak. First, I'm going to turn it over to my leader, Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins from Yonkers, gets a ConEd bill, YO, to speak a little bit about what we have done and what we need to do. And I also see the mayor of Mount Vernon. Mayor Sean Patterson Howard is here. Thank you so much, Madam Leader.
Thank you so much, Senator Mayor, and thank you for your leadership on this issue. And I know you are going to introduce all of my colleagues, but we are going to definitely shout out Senator Jackson came up, and thank you so much for your advocacy, RJ, and our Assembly colleagues as well, Senator Assemblywoman Shimsky and Levenberg. And actually, just yesterday, I was at an event at Assemblywoman Shimsky, and the first person I talked to was saying, I can't deal with ConEd. My bill is 3 times higher. The reason why so many of us are here is because we hear you. We hear our constituents. Our constituents let us know where the pain is and puts pressure on us to put pressure on the point where we can alleviate that pain. And that is what we are here to do. We're not telling you to stop. We're telling you to keep it going. But the Public Service Commission has to create another mechanism by which they determine rates. And as Senator Mayer said, our conference has been very, very aggressive on this. In fact, just this past week or so, we had a bill, it was last week actually, we passed over 6 bills dealing with transparency, dealing with accountability, dealing with making sure that the PSC and utilities become responsive and appropriate in terms of dealing with what is essentially, for many of us, a monopoly. So know that we continue to push, that we hear you, and again, I do not have to repeat what you already know. We don't mind delivery of service. We don't mind, making sure that the service is reliable. We don't mind paying our bills. But we do mind having to pay outrageous compensation, lobbyists, commercials, this and that frankly have nothing to do with what we need. We need the power to be in the hands of the people, and we need the Public Service Commission not to, again, represent the utilities, but to represent us as we continue to make progress together. So thank you so much, and thank you to the allies, and we will work on this and get it done.
I want to give a shout out to my friends who work at ConEd, UA Local 1-2, the actual people on the ground. They're not to blame for this. They're doing the work. They're our neighbors. We support them. But they should not be dependent on getting a fair wage on us paying a differential that is not justified. We want them to get a fair wage. We're willing to pay our bill, but we're not willing to be taken advantage of and ignored about the actual impact. There are people in this audience today who have shown me their bills. $800. Use, $135. Delivery, the regulated part, $550. We can't have that. We can't have that. And go up again after this? It can't be. So I am going to introduce my elected colleagues, and if I leave someone out, because there's so many here, you'll forgive me. Senator Robert Jackson, we mentioned, Assemblyman Steve Otis, Assemblymember Chris Burdick, Assemblymember Dana Levenberg, Assemblymember Mary Jane Shimsky, Legislator Vidat Gashi, Chair of the County Board, Legislator Kathleen Parker, Legislator Erica Pierce, Legislator Ben Boykin, we're here in his district. I think Legislator Judah Holstein and David Tubiolo, and Jimmy Nolan as well.
Yes.
Debbie Freeman on behalf of Legislator Barr, City of Rye Mayor Josh Cohn, City of Rye Manager Greg Usby, Mamaroneck Town Supervisor Jane Elkine-Eny, Mamaroneck Town Council Member Anat Nambiar, Newcastle Town Supervisor Vicky Tip, New Rochelle City Council Members Sarah Kay and Matt Stern, North Castle Supervisor Joe Rengie, Portchester Deputy Mayor Phil DeRazio, Portchester Trustee John Allen, Tarrytown Trustee Kenny Herzog. He's going to speak as a resident, Tuckahoe Trustee Josh Gassione, Scarsdale Mayor Justin Arrest, White Plains City Council Member Deputy Mayor Vicky Presser, White Plains City Council Member Richard Payne, Yonkers City Council Member Corazon Pineda Isaac and Deanna Renee Robinson, Elijah Reichland Melnick is here for County Executive Ken Jenkins, Samuels. I know Congressman Latimer is coming as well to indicate his support. And we're going to hear from, in addition to a few legislators who are going to be very short, we don't need to hear from them. We need to hear from the people who are experiencing this. And I mentioned the mayor. If I let someone else out, David Imamura, county legislator, thank you very much. Let me go back to my run of the show here.
Anthony, did you see Anthony Morante?
Anthony Morante, the other city council member. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, now I want to call on some people who are going to tell their story before I get to the others. And first, we're going to hear from Tuckahoe trustee Josh Gassion.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Senator Mayor, for letting me share a few words on how the proposed ConEd rate increase will impact our veterans and military families. As an Army veteran myself with deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq, I know firsthand the difficulties of reintegrating back into civilian life. As a community, we work hard to ensure that our senior veterans can age in place if they so choose, and our younger veterans can start their families here and trade in their combat boots for work boots. They face enough obstacles already between working through combat stress and other service injuries, visible or otherwise, not to mention facing the same challenges as everybody else. Finding adequate and affordable housing, trustworthy childcare, and increased inflation at a record high. Our veterans are warriors, and they've already faced challenges that most of the world will never face. And that's okay. We signed up for that. But they also signed up to be able to live in this great republic with some dignity. And I don't think a little dignity is too much to ask for those who put their lives on the line. Veterans have earned the right to live here. Con Edison and New York Public Service Commission, you have an obligation to choose people over profits, altruism over excess, and goodness over greed. Let our veterans and all of those in Westchester and New York live with dignity. Thank you.
Senator Jackson came from Manhattan. Come and say a few words. You've been involved in this fight a long time.
Well, thank all of you for being out here. This is a testament about the reality that you're facing every single day. And I've heard it from people in New York, but I've heard it up in Albany. And as you know, look at the legislators that are here from the city councils and what have you. So I just want to read this short statement. We are here today because enough is enough out there. And we stand here today because Con Edison was once again putting corporate profits over the people of New York. And that's not the way it goes. And we're sending a message loud and clear. You need to get your act together on behalf of the people. Is that right? Yes. This is not just a rate hike. It's an attack on working families, small businesses, and seniors already struggling to make ends meet. So let's be very clear. No corporation should have unchecked powers to dictate the cost of basic necessities. Heat, electricity, these are not luxuries. They are lifelines. Heat, Con Edison, yes, they are lifelines, but yet Con Edison continues to raise the rates, forcing New Yorkers to pay more while they rake in record profit. They rake it in. Well, the time is over. The party is over. Party for the people that you're supposed to serve. That's what we want. And what do we get in return for them? Outrageous delivery charges, delayed billing, inaccurate estimates, excuses, but no accountability. No accountability. Because if they listen to you, they would do the right thing. And if not, we have an obligation to communicate loud and clear, we're going to vote you out. It has to be said because it's about survival. And when you tell me your bills are $500, $700, $800, it's about survival. You're not rich, and even if you were rich, you shouldn't have to pay that. So with that, I say thank you for inviting me. I'm in it to win on behalf of the people of New York State. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert, thank you so much. And I see I left out Barbara DiGiacinto, trustee of the Village of North Castle. Thank you for being here. This is an audience of a lot of people who heard your voices. So keep sending those emails to each of us and calling us and keep us on the hook for it. So next I want to call up a friend of mine who has her own story, Lucia Alfano.
Hello. Hi. Good afternoon. Thank you, Senator Shelley Mayer and everyone for being here. I'm here today as a constituent to tell my story as a single parent raising 2 kids and really choosing between heat and food, heat and my living expenses, heat and the needs of my children, which I've had to kind of put on the side because I've had to pay the ConEd bill. And I'm also a nurse, and in terms of being a nurse and watching my patients not being able to afford their medications, we talked about struggle and really being able to survive. My patients need their medications in order to survive. If they don't take their medications, they could have heart attacks, they could have strokes and die. And that is in the hands of ConEd because they cannot. They're choosing to pay their ConEd bill instead of buying their medications. And it's really not fair for us to do to our seniors in today's world. When I see that ConEd CEO's total compensation is over $16 million, and my senior patients cannot afford a medication of $100 per month, it breaks my heart. And I really hope that we can do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Next is someone who has led some of the charge on this. If you signed the petition against ConEd, that was started by our friend Joel Wurzler here. Joel,
Joel.
you're next.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you to everybody that signed this petition. I've got over 17,250 signatures. I passed around a scanning code that you can do it. If you didn't sign the petition, you can have the opportunity to just find that sheet of paper. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to have a few words. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. It's a burning issue. It's a burning issue that's affecting millions of families across New York with the rising cost of electricity and heating. For decades, we've seen the failure for-profit companies like ConEd and others in the energy sector that dominate the delivery and supply of electricity and gas to provide the essential utilities at a reasonable price. What those companies have generated substantial profits for their company's CEOs and shareholders. Many households, including ours, are being forced to choose between basic needs like food, medicine, and keeping their homes warm and powered. This is not right. In many cases, families are now spending, and mine included, upwards of half of their income on a utility bill just to maintain a basic level of comfort. Again, that's just not right. My utility bill should not be a mortgage payment. My last bill, which I have right here, my ConEd bill, my last bill was $1,063.09. $346.19 was gas and electric. $716 was a delivery charge.
Wow.
A delivery charge. What are they delivering? Please, I don't see the ConEd truck pulling in front of my house with any kind of pipes. This is unacceptable. Therefore, I propose a change for a permanent solution for a decades-long problem. The only permanent solution available is to transform these essential services into a public service provided by local governments, by state governments, much like the sanitation and the clean water that we all need and use.
Yes.
Let's not forget that electricity and heating are no longer optional luxuries. These are foundational to how we live, work, and connect with the world. From keeping our homes warm in the winter, powering essential devices for work, health, and education. These services are integral to the functioning of our everyday lives. Yet the reality is that for-profit utility companies are pushing for the prices of energy to astronomical levels. As these companies raise their rates for delivery and supply, families are squeezed their limits. For many, it's no longer just about comfort. It's about survival. I no longer hesitate to use 2 words to sum this all up: price gouging. It's become the norm with these guys. Now, yet, beside the importance, the accessibility of electricity and heating is now no longer a guarantee for everybody. The disparity in access is stark, with the majority of fixed-income residents struggling with exorbitant energy bills. They're being squeezed out of their decade-long residence into homelessness, poverty, and welfare. Again, that's not right either.
Not right. Not right.
Why we must act now. Treating electricity and heating as a public service is not just an ethical choice, it's a necessary. We need this, and everybody needs it. You can't get away from it. Just as we fought for public access to clean water and sanitation, we must advocate for the transformation of our energy services. The only path forward involves transforming our energy systems into resilient, equitable, and sustainable models that treat electricity and heating not as commodities but as public rights. It's time to think of these services as fundamental. These are supposed to be our golden years, right? I'm a senior citizen. A lot of you are. It's more like our wooden years. And I'm now burning that wood just to stay warm. Again, that's just not right.
And that ain't right.
I appreciate Hannah and the senator for reaching out to me and asking me to speak. I am the creator of that online change.org petition. I started it in 2019. It's snowballing now.
Right.
I'm up to, like I said, 17,259 signatures as of this morning. This right here is only 16,500. There's a lot more to go. I'm glad to see everybody is getting the same results that I am. We need everybody involved to make this happen. ConEd donates a lot of money to political candidates, and that's probably why all of these increase requests get the rubber stamped and they get pushed through. We need to disband that organization immediately. Hopefully, Senator Mayer and everybody else in this room can actually do something about it, and this isn't just another dog and pony show. Thank
want
you.
Action. We want action. We want action. We want action.
I want to call up my friend, the new county executive, Ken Jenkins. Please, Ken.
So first, it's a privilege to stand up here with all of our colleagues in government. Thank you, Senator Mayer, and certainly I know all of our legislators, our leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, our assembly members, all my colleagues on the County Board of Legislators, members of every party, everything, every local government. We're all standing here together because we know that there has to be a change. And we know that the only way to do that is by making these modifications, making sure our voices are heard, because the Public Service Commission has to be able to push back first, and then whatever changes at the state level, all of our colleagues in government will be able to make sure that the delivery component, I mean, it doesn't matter which area you are in Westchester County, anywhere around the state, but specifically for me in Westchester County, it didn't matter whether we're up in Somers or whether we're down in Pelham or in Pound Ridge, in Pelham, here in White Plains, it doesn't matter. That component of the delivery charge is a component that all of us say, I'm not going to take out my bill because mine was higher than yours, right? And the reality is, and again, the challenge for all of us is still the same, that we know that there has to be a balance between the investments in our infrastructure to make sure that we have energy that can be able to deliver to us, but at the same time, those profits can't come over that. And we have to make changes in that. There is no question that there's some challenges where it looks like it's a money grab that's going on, as opposed to making sure that the investments go into the system and not being able to take advantage of all of us in every component. So the challenge, though, is that some people are trying to suggest that we need a different level of kind of energy here in Westchester County, and we know that Indian Point is not that answer, so that is not an option for us to do here in New York State. And as a matter of fact, I know that's standing in front of the state legislature right now as an option, but not in Hudson Valley at all, not in New York City at all, Senator Jackson, and not in Long Island at all, because of our populations. We know we need to do better, and we know that we have to stand together to make sure that the Public Service Commission, one, modifies that delivery component of things, as well as making changes and not having just rate increases that are hitting each and every person around the state of New York. So again, I'm proud to stand here with all of my colleagues in government to say that we have to have people over profits, and we need to make sure that those changes happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, County Executive. Diane Torstrup, another person, and a lot of people here are carrying their bills with them. You should carry your bill. Put it in your pocketbook if you're a woman. Put it in your pocket if you're a man. And carry that bill with you so you can show people that that delivery charge is not reflective of your use. That's the part that really irks us. And we need that next ConEd application, which is for 3 years, significant increase, to be rejected. Not modified, rejected. Totally rejected.
Nothing.
It's kind of ironic that today's Valentine's Day and ConEd doesn't show us any love.
Valentine's Day massacre.
My name is Diane Tostrup, as she said, and I live in Tarrytown. I live in a condo, so I don't have the option to even put solar panels on or anything to help with my bill. Although a friend of mine who has solar panels got a $1,400 bill this month because she can't put enough panels on because of the way the house is situated. It's a shame that you live in a house and you can't even be comfortable. Thank you. If you saw how I sit around my house with multiple layers of clothes under a blanket reading a book, I mean, it looks like I'm infirm or something, and I'm just cold. And a friend, I keep my house very low. I keep my house cold because I don't want these huge bills. And a friend called and said, "Is your cat skating on its water dish yet?" Because that's how cold my house is. Wow. And it's not fair that we're always uncomfortable at home. If ConEd gets its rate, they will be, there will be collateral damage to the rates, too, because we will have to pay higher rates on everything. The businesses aren't going to pay it. They're going to pass it down to the consumers. Schools aren't going to be able to afford to heat their buildings. They're going to pass it down to taxpayers. So, you know, it's not just us. It's everybody who will suffer. And I'm skipping through because people said a lot of my points, and I don't want to repeat. There are many residents of Westchester who cannot afford their bills. And I'm on a pension and Social Security, but right now it's okay. And I've gotten some COLAs of between 0 and 1%, so it's really raised my pension. But there are a lot of people who can't, and they have to make a choice. As one of my colleagues said, it's not fair to ask people to make a choice between being warm and paying their bills for their house or for food or whatever. ConEd is holding us hostage, and we don't want to be hostages. I always thought that retirement would be my time after spending years raising a family, and working the whole time, and cleaning a house. But I guess ConEd thinks it's their time. And so I just really hope that, you know, that Senator Mayer and everybody prevails, because this can't continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've been joined by Congressman George Latimer. Thank you, Congressman. Come and say a few words.
When you look for consensus, you have consensus here in Westchester County. You're looking at public officials at every level of government. You're looking at people that I know from different organizations, those who represent chambers of commerce is out there, those who represent nonprofits. And I think that the macro picture here, to me, is very clear. The ability to stay warm in the wintertime, the ability to have electricity for the variety of purposes that we need is an essential of life. And the cost of generating that cannot be passed along to the consumers in a direct fashion. There has to be, as there is in healthcare, as there is in education, some understanding that the society, working through the government, has to be able to buffer that cost. If we simply have rates rise because the cost of production and the cost of administration rises, we're not going to have a viable society. And the diversity of the faces in this room tell you that this is universal. This is not one party. This is not one mindset. So I think, Shelley, the leadership you're showing, and I see Andrea Stewart-Cousins is here, head of the Senate, my friends who are in the State Assembly, is the correct way to go. I'd like to be able to say that the federal government should stand with you in these things. There's not much I can say about the federal government right now. But in principle, the federal government should be standing alongside the state government to make sure that these are not pass-along charges. So congratulations on your leadership, and I hope I can be a good colleague in supporting your effort. Thank you.
Who did I not get to? I think I got to my folks who have their bills, but now I would like to briefly let some of my Senate and Assembly colleagues speak, because at the end of the day, this Public Service Commission is a creature of state law, and we need to be, as state legislators, a very loud counter to what they are considering. So that's why no disrespect to my county legislators and locals and city and all these people here from all over. Yes, 1 minute. It's very important that state legislators make their voice heard, because we have the ability to make sure the Public Service Commission hears us, and we appreciate the governor hearing us. We need her to continue to put the heat on, and we want to pass my bills that change the way the rates are set and to limit their ability to recover for salaries and lobbying and these expenses which should not be on our back. The last thing I want to say is a lot of municipalities and others are here. They also have these high ConEd bills, and they're passing them along to you in your property tax. So we are all collectively hurt by this, and as George says, this hurts everyone in our communities, everyone in our society. So with that, I'm going to briefly invite my colleagues to say a few words. Assembly Member Steve Otis, who's my colleague here from the Sound Shore.
People over profit. People over profit.
So,
People over profit.
two brief thoughts. Shelley's bill is a great bill. I'm a co-sponsor in the Assembly. But here's the concept. Utilities are monopolies. And so the way it's working now is they're passing on all the costs of running their business, including the infrastructure costs, to the ratepayers. A normal business doesn't have that luxury. They have to absorb some of those costs. So we need to say to all the utilities that they can't put everything in their profits. They have to take some of the burden they're trying to put on us. The second thing I'm going to say is someone who was my predecessor, twice removed for this assembly seat, and George's predecessor was Ron Tochi. He's still around, very involved in veterans issues. And Ron Tochi was known generally as a conservative Democrat, except when he was a socialist, because Ron Tochi was for a public takeover of utility companies. And so I still kid Ron. I said, you're a conservative Democrat, except when you're a socialist. So maybe we need Ron here for this press conference as well. But that's really where this goes unless we change the laws and provide some moderation in the price hit to consumers, and that's what Shelley's bill does. Thank you.
So, Mary Jane Shimsky, Assemblywoman.
Thank you, everyone. Before I came here, I went to visit a few of my senior centers for Valentine's Day. And the seniors in Dobbs Ferry provided some hearts. I don't have enough for all of you, but they wanted to make sure that ConEd had some. That being said, people on fixed incomes, all the way up to people in the middle class, professionals like nurses, cannot afford to eat and stay warm at the same time. And in the meantime, ConEd's profits have been going up by billions of dollars while your rates are going up. This economic imbalance needs to be righted. I will work with Shelley. I will work with anyone and everyone I need to work with to try to get this righted. Thank you.
Assembly Member Chris Burdick.
All right, Chris.
Thank you, Shelley, and thank you for your leadership. You know, just to highlight a couple of connections between the shareholders and what Con Edison is doing. You know, the third quarter of last year, the shareholders saw a 12% increase in their per share earnings. 12%. And what was the Social Security cost of living increase? 2.5%. Is that right?
No.
That's not right.
No.
The point is this, is that at a point, the shareholders have to bear the burden. And we're at that point now. And that's why Shelley is absolutely right. This cannot be a negotiated rate. That's business as usual. And we've got to stop the business as usual. Business as usual is time and again, they come in with X percentage, knowing that they're going to compromise it. Well, zero increase, zero increase. Zero increase. And Steve is absolutely right. If we don't fix the structure, then what we have to do is it's got to be publicly owned. I want to leave you with one thought, and that is keep yelling, keep writing those letters, keep calling the governor, write to ConEd, write to the chair of the Public Service Commission. Your voice matters. Thank you.
Last but not least, Assemblywoman Dana Levenberg, and then I will happy to take some questions.
Thank you so much, Senator Mayer. And I just want to say, Senator, that you said it's not about us. It's about my bill. I got my bill right here on my phone. My bill also went up. My bill was $1,000 also. I can't remember who said that was last month. It actually went down to $900 this time. But I will say again that my delivery charges were $472, and my supply charges were $285. That was just for electricity. And for gas, 71 cents for my supply charge and $35. So what is that ratio? That is not right. That ratio is not right. And I have solar on my home. I do have solar on my home, and I'm still getting hit with these ridiculous electricity charges because of those delivery charges. That ain't right, and we need to. That ain't right. We need to say no to this rate increase. We need to support Senator Mayer's bill, and if I'm not already on it, I'm going to be. And we have to say no to ConEd CEO's total compensation of almost $16 million when our median Westchester household income is only $118,000. So let's get this right, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lastly, I want to say to my municipal friends here that to intervene in a rate case is very technical and very complicated. And it is something that very few people are able to do. Senator Jackson has tried. We have written comments in the rate proceedings. There's one group in New York, Pope, that is the only group that really effectively intervenes, and they're just one little small not-for-profit in Albany. I am convening a call for my municipal colleagues, all parties, all places, to learn from Pope how to intervene. Because we as local government officials, we got to intervene to oppose this rate hike. And thank you for all of my local officials who are here, not mine, yours, who are here to make sure that not only that they hear your voice, but they're standing with us, and we are all going to work on this together. This is a joint effort. Please do not back up. Please do not stop emailing. Sign the petition. Make sure that we have the voice of numbers to put the pressure on. We did have a hearing in the budget hearing last week on energy issues with the chair of the Public Service Commission. You can see it on the some of the materials outside. It's attached. We questioned this process, and we're going to continue to keep the pressure on until we win. So with that, thank you very much for everyone for coming. I'm happy to answer questions if I can. Yes,